All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me on the live stream session for the SyllaFX, and we are on the Asian session right now. So the market is just opened up. It is 8:17. So in this stream, we're basically just doing some analysis here. We may not actually have a trade set up. Typically, there's not really much as far as an actual setup that I would take during the Asian session. But if we do catch something on the currency pairs that I'm gonna mark up, then we may have a trade. So we'll see what happens here. So give me just a few. Now, a couple things that we're going to do in this stream. So now, typically, this is for the students group that are part of the community on Discord. So we're doing this session as just an analysis stream today. We're gonna go through the trades that I did go ahead and take this morning. If you haven't already seen the video with the 4 trades from the New York session, we'll go through that and explain exactly what happened, the 2 losers that I took and the 2 winning trades that I took, but still ended up being profitable for today's 4 trades. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and go through the trades that I took this morning and explain exactly what happened on those, why I took them, the setup that was taking place, and what happened on those trades and the strategies that were being used at that point. So today, during the New York session, of course, there was news that came out this morning. So before I actually look for any potential trades to actually take, I do go ahead and check forexfactory.com for any news events or releases that are going on during that time, because usually when there's news events or press conferences and big financial information that comes out, of course, there's no the volatility that it creates, the speculation that it creates in the pricing just basically throws off the entire trading strategies that I use to take my trades. And so on the euro dollar pair, so we're going to go through that trade first. So now this trade was actually a winner during the New York session. So the news that actually came out was right around like 10 o'clock, I believe, or so. So as you can see on this price drop here, basically a sell-off occurred after that that information was released. And when that happens, of course, like I said, I don't actually take a trade. So I give it about an hour or two before I actually look for a position to take. So the first trade that I actually took was on the Aussie dollar, and it was about like, I think it was like almost 12.30 or so. But we're going to go through the euro dollar first and see what happened on this position. And let's see. All right, so we already checked for the news events. We knew that news was coming out at 10, and we waited until after the news event was released. So right around 12 is when I actually started to look for my zone. So the first thing I do after the news event, I'll go into the 4-hour chart, take a look at the major support and resistance levels, see where price is actually bouncing off and reacting to. That way I know if we are getting close to one of those zones, then I expect price to react and basically see what it does at that point, right? So on the 4-hour chart, we have our zone set up here with the yellow lines. We kind of want to stick with the zones that are pretty close to where price is, because I mean, we don't expect price to drop all the way to somewhere down here during a single session. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna duplicate this one here. So the nearest one, I would go ahead and make it this level is the next level down that we're going to be looking at. So at that time, price was right around in this area before the news event happened. We have our zone set up on this rejection and the rejection here, and we got another top level here from this rejection and this as well. So then I'm going to move down to the 1-hour chart, see where the general direction is. So right now, of course, overall, we're kind of trending down. So we're going to be looking for sell positions. If we were marking up the chart right now to see what trades we could take during the Asian session, then we would be looking at sells. Now, earlier today, though, I was trading based off of the support and resistance only. And what happened is after that price drop, price came all the way down to the major support level here. And as you can tell, it started to reject with the wicks being created. So we got a couple of rejections here, another rejection here, and price started to move up. So typically when I see that, then I know price is at least trying to respect that level for now. So then I'm going to look for price to come back down into that zone and go ahead and take a buy position as long as it stays in that region where it's rejecting or creating those wicks, because it's likely it's going to go ahead and reject that area and start to move back up as well. Now, typically when I do take a trade during the New York session, it's going to be like a little bit earlier in the morning, like 8, 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock maybe. So this was already past noon, so it was a little bit late to take a trade because I was kind of waiting for the news to kind of take place and price to get back to its normal flow. And then at that point, we might still get a good bit of movement if there's still a lot of volume in the market during that time. But price started to kind of slow down and kind of die off a little bit towards the end of the session. So when I did end up taking this trade, and this was at I think like 12.24, I believe, when I took the euro dollar and the Aussie dollar, and I did go ahead and share that with the Discord group, the VIP students group, to let them know. I mean, I don't provide like signals or anything to tell people what to trade and when to trade it, but I do at least notify, hey, I'm going ahead and take a couple of positions here. That way it helps me keep track of when exactly I took those trades as well. So at 12.24, I went ahead and entered into a couple of positions. So with this one, the euro dollar, took the buy position here when price came back down into the zone to reject. And for the majority of the trade, I was actually in a drawdown for about like half an hour to 45 minutes or so, and my stop loss was about 20 pips on here. Now, before I actually ended up closing the trades, I was targeting the highs up here, so I believe it was like 40 pips I had to set up to before. So this high that was created from the wick, that's what my initial target was. And if it was earlier in the day, I may have been able to actually reach that zone, but it was a little bit later, past 12, and the market was dying down a little bit. But it still looked like a valid trade off of support and resistance. Price was rejecting and respecting that area, so went ahead and took a buy position. Now, I did end up closing this trade early, and actually 3 of the positions that I had open, I went ahead and closed those out at the exact same time. It was around like 2:30 or so, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Once the session gets that late, I don't expect there to be much volume in there. And as you can see, price or the market just started kind of dying off as far as this volatility and the volume that was there to actually move the price. So I went ahead and exited out at 17 pips. I closed that all three out at 2:30, and it just happened to be at 17 pips at that time. It wasn't a target that I was aiming for or anything, but I didn't feel that price was going to continue moving up because there was no volume behind it to make it move up. So went ahead and just decided to cut that trade short. Though I was pretty much in quite a bit of drawdown for a few $100s for some time until price came back up and broke into the profits. It didn't move very much, so about 2:30, ended up with 17 pips on that one. So that was at least one winning trade that I had for today. So the second trade, I'm gonna go ahead and go through and explain. That's gonna be on the dollar yen. So, give me a second here. All right, so on the dollar yen, so let's take a look, see what has actually happened on this trade here. This trade I took right after the Aussie dollar, and it ended up being a losing trade because as you can see, the point that I actually entered a position, it was pretty late in the day anyways, and the entire time I was in drawdown. So this never actually reached any profit the entire time that I held the position. The good thing is it didn't actually go all the way through the 19 pips stop loss that I had set up for it. So I did not get kicked out of that one and lose that. But by the time I closed it out at 2:30 along with the euro dollar, I ended up being in negative 5 pips. So that was a little bit over $100 loss on that one since I was trading those 3 standard lots. And all 4 of these trades that I took this morning during the New York session were all 3 standard lots as well. So the 17 pips on the euro dollar from this trade, that was, what was it, $540 if I recall correctly. And this one being a loss of 5 pips, so I should probably move this down to about here. So I exit out at this point here, right on this candle is when it was almost 2:30 at that point when I took closed all 3 of those positions out. Went ahead and just decided to cut it short because I had a feeling that it was probably not going to continue down. And it didn't right away, at least until, what was that, about 6:30 or so. Price did kind of shoot back up, and it would have actually tapped me out at my stop loss of 19 pips. So I'm glad I actually went ahead and just closed that out short and cut my losses, reduced it from the 19 pips to the 5 pips. So lost $100 on that one. Okay, fine, we'll take it and kind of move on with that. Now the direction that I was going in, as you can tell, it was correct, but the amount of time that it took to actually go into that direction was a very long time, and by the time it actually reached that, the way my stop losses are, they're pretty tight, so I would have still gotten tapped out and lost the trade anyway. So either way, went ahead and lost 5 pips on this one. So now the reason I ended up taking this one though is because, so if we look at our major levels, we have some rejection here, and then we have our another level here that was rejected, and price pretty much flew through here and came back up to test that level again. So this is where I was looking for the support and resistance setup to take a sell position. So let's see. This dude. All right, so when price broke below the main support level here, and pretty much if you're looking for support and resistance setup, you're waiting for price to get back to that zone and see how it reacts to that area. So the reason I ended up taking this one in kind of in confluence with the other pairs that I was trading, price came all the way back up right around in that support or that resistance level at that point and rejected it once. And here you can see that it's trying to move back down. So it had a lot of volume pushing it back down. So what I do in that case is basically wait again for price to get back into that area and see what it does. So as soon as it pretty much got into that zone, I went ahead and took a sell position here. And again, my stop loss was right up here, I believe at 19 pips. So right around that mark. So as you can tell, like I said, if I would have kept it open this entire time, price would have went up and actually tapped me out on this one here, and I would have lost that 19 pips. But I was basically just looking for price to come down from this area. So entered here, price shot up and was respecting this major support level here, or the resistance level. So after this rejection, I was hoping that it would come down, and maybe if it was a little bit earlier in the trading session, there would have been enough volume to actually push it down. But it didn't happen on this one because I had to wait for the news to take place at 10 and didn't enter in until about 12 o'clock. So by the time I closed it out around 2:30, the market was pretty much dying down, as you can tell, and it started consolidating. So 5 pips loss on this one. Was aiming for, I believe, 70 pips. Yeah, I was aiming for the 70 pips to come down to at least this low here, and then bounce off of that, and that was gonna be my exit point to get out right before it reaches that level. But we never got there, at least at that time. But if I would have been able to hold out and maybe extended my stop loss a little bit further, we would be in the profit now, quite a bit. But oh well, that's not part of my trading strategy. I use very tight risk management and limit what I'm willing to actually lose on each trade. So it is what it is on this one. That was an L. So the next 2 trades that I actually took were on the Aussie dollar. So what happened here is so I don't think I actually had this marked up quite well, but this was one of the main zones on the hourly chart that I was looking at, and you can tell. So right now we're on the 4-hour chart, right? Let me get rid of these. So one of the major levels, rejected, 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 price breaks above it. So this is a major support level now, and then we have another resistance from this high here. So we're not at either one of the zones yet. So what I'm looking at, the main level that I'm looking for action to happen, is this 1-hour level here. So rejected here, a lot of rejection here. Basically price is just consolidating and doesn't know what it wants to do around the zone. So once it broke above it and price came back into that area, I'm looking for buy positions. So that's exactly what I took on this one here. So based on support and resistance, I take a look at this. Price goes all the way down and starts to see those rejections happen here. So we got the rejection candles here. It starts to back off and closes with a long wick. This is a telltale sign that price wants to move up. So as you can tell, price did move up a little bit into that zone. And then before I was able to actually enter into that into the trade to take a buy position, price pretty much spiked all the way up to this area around these highs here, and then rejected that and came right back down. So at the close of that candle, I went ahead and actually took a buy position, because from what I can tell so far, this area down here is being respected. So we're looking to reject here and move back up. Now this trading strategy it remains consistent for me. It keeps me profitable even when it does lose. But as you can tell in this instance, yes, this was a loser. I lost 15 pips on this one, so that was a what was it, about $450 loss on this trade here. So as soon as I entered in, it pretty much just continued to go down, and within half an hour it tapped me out here on this trade. So took an L on that one. And the fourth trade, now this is not something that I took in that same order, but the last trade I took was still on the Aussie dollar as well, because as you can tell, when price came all the way down and actually tapped me out and I lost those 15 pips, it rejected that zone and came right back and closed right into the rejection area. So price, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still convinced that it wants to move up. So I went ahead and gave it another chance and took another buy position on it right at this level here, and set my stop loss this time below the rejection wicks that initially tapped me out. Now on this one, I barely had any drawdown at all, and pretty much right away was going into profit. And I actually took, what was it, 18 pips on this one. So this second trade, just because I gave it a second chance, because I got that confirmation that price was still rejecting, I made up for that loss of the 15 pips and ended up with 3 additional pips on there to cover that loss and still be in profit on that one. All right. So as far as the 4 trades, so kind of to take it into in order of what I actually took the trades in. The first actual trade that I took was on the Aussie dollar. This was the first one here, the loser that actually hit that 15 pip stop loss and made me lose that $450. Now, after this one here, I didn't right away jump into this one. So after this loss, I went ahead and actually took a trade, the 2 trades on the euro dollar here. That's when I took that buy position, and then the dollar yen when I took that sell position. Now during those trades, you can see just now price just like spiked all the way down, and that would have hit my 70 pips right there. Oh well, I mean that happens sometimes. But like I said, either way I would have gotten tapped out way up here, and then it would have went all the way down and hit the target. But that's what you got to be careful of. You got to kind of decide what you're willing to hold as your stop loss for a potential loss to be able to earn that type of move and get that money. But it doesn't fit into my rules, so I don't trade it that way. Unfortunately, I don't get that profit. So but the second, so after the loss on the Aussie dollar, took the 2 trades on the euro dollar and the dollar yen here, and this one still ended up being the loss, but oh well. Even with all of that though, I still actually ended up being in profit for the day. So lost 5 pips on this trade with the dollar yen, and lost the 15 pips on this trade with the Aussie dollar. But on the euro dollar, I won the 17 pips there, and then the second trade on the Aussie dollar, I won the 18 pips. So that covered my losses and still ended up being up a little bit over $500 for the day anyway. So 2 losers, 2 winners. It is what it is. The trading strategies are definitely not perfect, so if anybody promises a guarantee that you're going to make money trading, no matter how good the trading strategy is, you're going to take losses. It's up to you to kind of minimize that risk and limit your losses and take your profit when you can take your profit. Pretty much the whole goal is to win bigger than what you lose. So when you're applying your risk to reward ratios, like in this trade for instance, I was aiming for almost a 1-to-3 ratio. So I was risking the 15 pips, but I was aiming for the 40 pips here. So it was almost 1-to-3. So I could essentially lose 3 trades in a row and win 1 trade, and I would still be at break even. So if you're applying proper risk to reward ratios on your trades, you can still end up being profitable with a losing percentage rate. So even though I was only 50% win rate for today, I still ended up being in profit $500. So it is what it is though. And the second loser that I had on the dollar yen was because I pretty much wanted to go ahead and cut my losses there and end the trades at 2:30. Didn't want to be in the market past that session or past that time frame because of the way the market acts during the time that it's winding down and starting to close out. But let's see. So what we're gonna do moving forward, since we kind of went through and explained the positions that I took this morning with the 2 losers and 2 winners, we're just going to do some analysis. We're probably actually going to cover, we'll do all 3, we might actually do all 6 of the currency pairs that I monitor. So the first 3 that I typically look at, my primary ones that I trade during the New York session, that's going to be the euro dollar, the dollar yen, and the Aussie dollar. And then, if there's nothing that sets up on those, I may look at the yen pairs. And actually, the Asian session that we're in right now is probably perfect for trading the yen pairs. Not a lot of volatility, but that's when that market is usually active the most. So the yen pairs that I look at when the first 3 are not in play, it's going to be the pound yen, the Aussie yen, and the euro yen. So we'll go through those. Actually, I think we're going to go through those first since we're in the Asian session now to see if there's anything that sets up for a potential trade. So first thing we'll do, of course, is we'll check forexfactory.com. See if there's anything going on as far as news right now. So it's still November the 1st. Let's see. So there's no major news that's happening right now, and I think we're pretty much clear of anything that would be happening later. So there's nothing else really major that comes out until 8:15 a.m. for the US dollar. Yeah, we're pretty much in the clear at this point. So there's nothing major that's going to be happening this evening that would throw off the strategy. So we're good there. So let's go ahead and jump into the Aussie yen and go over to the 4-hour chart, get everything marked up, make sure our levels are good, and see what we can find. So we got a major level here. Got another one here. I think we'll keep that one in place. Price is pretty much just flying through it though, so it may not be a valid one for it to respect. We'll keep it there just for awareness though, but then this one here is definitely a valid level. We can actually move it down to that high to keep it current. Let's go to the hourly chart and see what we have. Alright, so on the hourly chart, at least for now, I mean, price is coming down at the moment, but we're kind of nearing this major support. Well, it's not really a major, but I would definitely take this as a valid support level for now. Let me remove that. So this is one that we want to be aware of because price seems to be rejecting that zone and bouncing off of it for now. So we'll keep that in play and see just how price reacts to it, because this came down here before, it's rejected nicely, came all the way up to the major level, rejected again, came up to the major level, rejected again. I mean, it's doing the same thing over and over. So I'm pretty sure this is, if we get a rejection like this here, we're probably going to come back up at least to that level. So this may be a potential trade that we could look at taking. It's about 40 pips window, so I would aim for about 30 to 35 of those, depending on where we enter. So let's go ahead and keep this here just for awareness. Let's see, if we took a position there, our entry would probably be right around that level. Stop loss would be below these wicks, so that's about 16 pips. And a 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio is 30. About 32. We'll give it 35 on this one here. So a little bit over 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio is what we would be looking to take a trade on if price comes down into the zone and rejects like it's been doing previously here. So now we'll go ahead and go into the 15-minute chart. So this is where I would be looking for my rejections like it happened here, and then look for a buy position if it comes down and rejects. Our entry will probably be right either in that zone or right above it after the candle closure with the rejection here. So 35 pips on that would be nice. All right, so now even though we were, like I said, we were looking at the 1 hour chart and we were seeing that yes, price for now is trending down. We have a high here, lower high, lower high, lower high. The only problem is the trend trading strategy would not apply in this case because of that support level that we're nearing here. Now, if we were like maybe still up here and we created a lower low, or sorry, lower high here and then a lower high, and we were right around in this area, we would potentially still be looking for sell positions. But we're already way down here at the zone that's been rejected multiple times, so that would invalidate a trend trading setup there and be looking for instead a support and resistance setup. So we'll go back to the 15 for now. Let's see. Yeah, I would definitely want to exit out at the top here, at least before it gets to that major zone. Alright, while we're waiting for that though on the Aussie yen, we can take a look at some of the charts for the, let's do the pound yen. Well, this one is the pound dollar. Let's do pound yen. This one should be giving us some movement during the Asian session. Alright, like always, well look, we already came down and rejected this level here, so this may be something to kind of look for, but first, we're always going to go to the 4 hour chart first and make sure our levels are set up where we need them to be. So rejection, 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 that one is valid. Rejected, rejected, a little bit of rejection, that one is valid. And then we have a new one pretty much set up at the top here. So we'll hold that one in place. Jump over to the 1 hour chart. All right. Let's see. Looking at it from the hourly chart, this level doesn't seem very valid now, so let's see what it's doing. Okay, so what I would be looking for here is something like this. You have a low. Have another low. The lows are pretty much getting higher. So higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. So what we want to pretty much do here is, so we have a low, higher low, higher low. Pretty much we're uptrending here. We're looking for buy positions. Now the only problem with this one is that we are in a zone that's near a major support level or resistance level. What's that? Go away. I don't know. All right, so let's see. So on the hourly, yeah, so this is one, so I gave an example of on the, actually I think I uploaded this video this morning on how to avoid losing trades and avoid low quality trade. This is what I would consider a low quality trade. So even if price rejects here and we get the closure that it's rejecting, like in the same place that we get this here. Now, technically, let's see how much that's actually worth. So that's about 30 to 40 pips you could take, but if we're aiming for something more than that, you're looking at potential for rejection at this major level. So there's not a lot of room for it to actually go up for profit, unless you're just doing a scalping trade and you're looking for like 20 to 30 pips. This may be a valid trade for that. It's not one that I would take, to be honest, though. Usually, if I'm looking for a trade on this, I need nothing to be in its way at the top, especially not a major resistance level. So if we get something like a couple of these wicks, maybe honestly one wick would do fine for me. We already got one that rejected well into it. So if price comes down maybe in the next half an hour and gives us a nice rejection and closes positive in blue like this one, this would be a valid buy position, but you would only really be aiming for about like 20 to 30 pips to this, to be honest. Yeah, so we did like 30 pips to kind of exit out well before we get into that zone. And then the stop loss would have to be below this wick, below the zone. Yeah, this is not a very good, I wouldn't really recommend this trade here. The risk to reward is not even a 1 to 2 on this one here, because you would have to aim for at least 40, and that gets you right into that resistance zone here. Low quality trade, not one that I would take, but this is what you'd be looking at for a setup if that zone was not there. But at least you guys understand the setup that I'm looking for potentially in a currency pair like this one. I don't actually have the euro yen set up here. Let's pull that up. Let's do Oanda. Alright, so I don't have anything charted up on euro yen. It's been a while since I even looked at this pair, but let's get it marked up and see what we can find. So on the 4-hour chart, mark up our zones, the ones that are nearest to price currently. So we have, I would say this is a valid zone, and you can tell price came all the way down, rejected it, moved back up. Let me move this over here a little bit. Okay, and another zone that we're going to mark is, got nice rejections on this one and here, so this one will be valid. I wouldn't really make this one a major zone, but let's go ahead and at least mark it up this way here. That way we are aware of that rejection there and just see how price reacts in that area. Another zone would be, and this one won't really come into play right now, but I would definitely validate this one here, the rejections. So we're done with our majors. We don't have anything really above it to look for. As far as the day, it's been a while since price has gone to these heights here, so we're pretty much blind above this major zone here if it gets up to that level. So on the hourly chart, we are into the zone that we drew up on the 4-hour, and we pretty much want to see what price does in that area. Now, as you can tell, the last time it got in there, it was hours playing around in that zone. It didn't really do much. It eventually rejected and started to move away from it. And actually, I'm going to give you guys good examples that I see here for supply and demand, but right now we're just looking for a support and resistance setup. But like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in that zone last time it got there. So we may not have a trade during this session for this currency pair, for the euro yen. On the 15-minute, let's see. Yeah, no confirmations yet, but let me go ahead and kind of show you guys what I was looking at as far as a supply and demand trade. Now, if you guys don't know what supply and demand is basically, just a brief summary of it, is when you have an area of consolidation that is created, and then you have a rush of movement, whether you have a lot of buying volume come in that pushes prices up, or you have a lot of selling power that comes in and pushes the price down below the consolidation. So what I'm looking at for supply and demand, and this would have been a good setup if someone would have caught it at that time, is this right here. So if we're looking at the 15-minute chart, this is all consolidation. You have this high here and this low here. This entire area is a demand zone. It does line up with a temporary support and resistance level, but this is a perfect demand zone setup here that you would be looking at to take a trade. So what happens here, you have a high and prices just pretty much playing around in up and down in this demand zone. And then let me see what time was that here. That was about 8 o'clock last Thursday actually. A lot of buying power came in and rushed the price above the consolidation zone and broke this high, and created a new high here along with this previous one. So when you see price do that, the thing that you're looking for is you come out of that consolidation from all the movement. This is basically telling you price wants to go up. The market makers, the big whales, the traders, the institutions that are actually buying and selling in Forex are moving price up very rapidly out of that consolidation zone. So we're looking at buy positions at this point. So price comes all the way up here and creates a new high. So what I would do is set up a high here at the new high that was created. So it came all the way up here and then created a new high and started to move back down. Now this is where you're looking for your potential for an entry point to move up with the price. So anytime you see this happen here, let me get rid of this one here. So price comes out of the consolidation, creates a new high, right? Now you're looking for the opportunity to get into that buy movement as well along with everybody else. And this is pretty much, I would consider this kind of like price manipulation. And it's done on purpose, and we know it happens, and it happens a lot on the euro pairs and the dollar pairs. And it is purposely done by market makers because it gives those that didn't take that move with them to get into the price as well at the lower rate that they initially got into the movement with too. And you'll see exactly what I mean by this is, so we're consolidating, price is just stagnating in this area, right? The buyers comes in, moves price up. Now everybody that missed that discounted price down here, they're going to get another chance to get in, and that's where the manipulation comes into play. Even though we know it's manipulated, even though we know that it's done on purpose, as long as we know that as retail traders, we can take advantage of that as well. So as long as you can identify these and get into the movement with them, just like the big traders are, you can make profit just like they are as well. So price wants to continue up, price comes down. Now what you're waiting for is to get confirmation that price is in fact going to reject that demand level and start to move back up. So you see the rejection here that happens. This is a buying opportunity for those that missed the initial move. You get in here and you buy up to ride the position going back up. Now price comes back down again for a second time, and it stays right above that demand zone. This is all basically for those who missed the move initially, rushing out of it to get into the market. You buy it up right here at the discounted rate, and what happens? It shoots up and creates a new high above the previous high that was made on that first movement out of the consolidation. This right here is literally a perfect demand setup. Now the supply trade will be the opposite direction. If you have supply up here and you're looking for a sell position, this right here is a buy position for demand. So price rushes up out of consolidation, comes back down, gives you the confirmation that it wants to reject with the wicks. You buy in at the demand level and you ride the movement all the way up to create new highs. Now typically if I'm trading something like this, I'm only going up until the next high anyways. So I would be buying at this level, my stop loss will be below here, and then I'm only aiming for the high that was previously created. So that would be about 60 pips on that move here that I would be taking. And it's pretty easy and simple to catch these. I mean, like I said, it happens all the time. And if you're confident enough and you're patient enough to hold the trade that long, you could technically ride it until you start to see rejections at the top. And this would have easily been, what was that, over 100 pips? So if I took 60 here, yeah. So about 110, 120 pips all the way up to the top. I probably, if I were someone to hold onto a trade and start seeing rejections up here, this would be the level that I would have gotten out at that point. So right around 100 pips on that move would have been to take profit. But I don't trade like that, so 60 pips for me. I would have been satisfied with that, took my money, and been done for the day pretty much. Would have caught the move and with minimal drawdown. I mean, the stop loss actually, I could have actually put it at this wicks low here, and that would have kept it at about 20 pips. So that would have made it roughly a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio. let's go back to what's happening now. Okay, so this is a way that you avoid a losing trade. Remember when I said when price goes into that level, you want to wait and get the confirmation that price wants to reject that level, just like it does in this area. Right now you're seeing price go well into that support level, and it's not rejecting it yet. None of this is indicating that price wants to move back up or bouncing off of it. Price literally closed all the way down at the bottom of the support level. So it's likely that price is going to continue to move down. Now, for the opportunity to actually buy, if it does move back up, I would want price to come out of this level up into this right above the support level, and then test it again and give me at least 1 to 2 wicks to show that it in fact wants to reject that level to move back up. Otherwise, I don't see a buy position on this one here. There's no rejection so far that I can tell. It closed right at the bottom of the support level, so I don't think that it would continue to move down, but I'm also not confident at all that it would move up here on a buy position. So pretty much would have to wait to see what happens. There's no indication yet that price wants to move up, so we need to see something like this. Give me a couple of wicks and then come back up to at least these highs here. So this could potentially, if this actually happens, I would be looking at a trade like this. To these highs, about 80 pips will be the most that I would take out of that. 1 to 2.5 risk to reward ratio. So this is likely not going to happen during this stream, so that way you can kind of see what you would need to look for if you're looking to take a buy position there. But as of right now, nothing valid, no rejection yet, so no trade. Okay, pound yen. So the same thing happened on the pound yen so far. We didn't get any rejection. Price actually closed below the zone, so that's pretty much broken. This I would need to see that same action that I depicted on the euro yen for me to look for a buy. This could still be valid because we're in that zone, but as far as the pound yen, I wouldn't even consider a buy at this point. Plus, we're right by a major level, so invalid for me. We'll take that one out. So if price is not going up on the pound yen, where is the next level that it would be going? We're breaking the lows here. At this point, to be honest, I'm looking for trend trading setup. And things like this can change, I mean, pretty quickly, like you see here. The fact that price closed below it, even if it comes back above this part, I'm still not looking for buys. We're generally trending down. We broke the support or the major level here, came back below it and closed out again, came back below it and closed out again. And there's a lot, it looks like there's a lot of selling power here. So I would be looking honestly as a trend trading sell position at this point, because what just happened. It didn't reject, it closed well below the zone itself here. So what I'm potentially looking to take is a move down. Let's see, this is the low that was broken with this move coming down. So I would want to see something like this. This is the levels that I would be trading on this pair here. This is exactly the setup that I would look for. So on the 15-minute chart, price has already broken this zone, so I would pretty much wait for it to come down into this area. I would want it to come below this area pretty well for it to come back up, reject here, give me the confirmation wicks, the rejection wicks like this here, to show that it wants to continue moving down. And if I were to get that in this area, then I would be looking for a sell position right there, and I would be aiming to break this support level, because if we're downtrending and price has already broke this support level, if it comes down here and rejects it once and rejects here, it's likely going to continue and push down below this level as well. So this would actually be probably a 1-to-4 risk to reward ratio here, right into that level. If our stop loss is right above that zone, exit out before it gets to the bottom level there, right around here. That's 140 pips. So 1-to-5 actually we could potentially take. This would be a nice little trade if it plays out this way. So as far as the pound yen, that's the setup, to be honest. That's really the only valid one that I see so far. The euro yen, it's probably going to take much for it to go up and do this. And so if you notice, the euro yen and the pound yen are sharing the yen as the pair that they're going against. So if in fact the pound yen does this move here, the euro yen is likely to follow a similar pattern. It's not going to be the exact same. It's not going to follow the exact pricing or anything like that, because of the pound versus the euro is completely different. But you're following similar confluence with the yen pair that it's going against. So I don't even see. It depends really. So like if we see this actually come up and retest, then it would invalidate this trade here, or this setup here. But I have no confidence that price is going to come back up to this area to do that. And it kind of makes me feel that this will not actually play out either. So we pretty much just want to wait and see what's going to happen with this pair. Well, not even this pair, but whatever price action this is going to perform. But the pound yen is the valid one that I would be looking at as far as a trend trading setup. Break these lows, bounce off, come back and reject the lows that it broke, and then continue moving down. So I will leave this here overnight for the pound yen, and we'll kind of see what happens in the morning time. London session starts at 3 a.m. so we'll see what plays out, see if that actually happens here. Let's jump over to the other pairs here. We're finally moving up. And honestly, if I actually took trades on the Asian session, this would be a buy position for me here, because prices closed above this previous high. So this is probably going to keep moving up, and I'll just mark this up for now and kind of see what happens in the morning. But I would be looking at it to get to at least this level, or even this level. But that's just, it looks like it's going to move up. And if I were still in the trade from this morning, sure, I'll probably leave it open and move this to like a break-even point just in case it came back down. But this is likely going to continue moving up, but it's not a valid trade for me. This is not a trade that I would take. One, because of the session we're in, and it doesn't fit my strategies. It's not support and resistance, it's not trend trading, and it's not supply and demand. But the way it's moving looks like it's going to keep moving up. So we'll mark that there and kind of see what happens by morning. Dollar yen, man, this would have been a really nice one to be able to take profit on. 70 pips. Oh well. Let's actually see what that could have been for us here. If we were able to catch those 70 pips on the dollar yen. 3 standard lots at 70. That would have been $1,400. So if I were still, the trade that I took this morning at roughly 12:30, if I was still in that, I would have been able to close out about 30 minutes or so before. 70 pips for a little bit over $1,400. Yeah, oh well, missed it. Move on to the next one. Live to trade another day. Aussie dollar. What are you doing? Yeah, I'm glad I got out of those trades earlier, because it's pretty much just consolidation at this point. There's no up and down direction so far just yet, so nothing there. Aussie yen. Yeah, we're breaking the lows here. These lows have been broken. So this setup that we were initially looking for, it's not valid now. We didn't get any rejection like we did before here. And this is why it's important to wait. You got to be patient and see what the market wants to do. Just because it gets into that zone does not mean it's going to reject it. You don't want to take it too fast and just jump into a trade like that. You want to wait, be patient, let the market tell you what it wants to do. The fact that it pushed down below it, broke these lows in that zone, and closed below it without any rejection, price is going to likely continue down. So this buy setup, invalid now. If we would have got rejections like this, then great. This would have been a good buy, but still kind of close to that support level or the resistance level. So no buy position here. So the only ones that we're really looking for is, yeah, you see this one is continuing to push up, but like I said, it doesn't fit any of my strategy, so I'm not taking that. It's probably going to keep going up. Nothing here that I would take. Let's see, dollar yen. So this was, actually this fits in, as far as the 1 hour chart, this fits into a supply trade too. Broke these lows, came all the way down, came back into that supply level, rejected, and moving down. It could potentially bounce here, but it's not at a zone that I would really expect it to adhere to. So nothing there. That one. Aussie yen broke the support, no buys there. Pound dollar, I'm not trading pound dollar, that's usually for London session. Pound yen though, look at that. So that move is happening now. Prices continue to break down. So the fact that, again, price broke below the zone and closed below it is telling you that price is likely going to continue to push down, and that's what it's doing here. So this is likely going to go ahead and push all the way down to this area, bounce off, reject here, and keep pushing down. So we have a potential for this one to play out, but I'm not going to be awake at that time. So whoever's staying up and trading in London, this will be a perfect setup for you guys to look for. EJ, nothing. We're still in that zone, but I don't expect this to play out because of the fact that the pound yen is doing this here. So that's the only one that I would be looking for. I mean, euro dollar is probably going to keep pushing up, but other than that, the only valid setup that I see that we would need to wait for a play out is the pound yen. So no trades on this, at least on this session here, but this is the setup, the only one that I would really kind of keep an eye on. If you guys are interested in learning the trading strategy, of course, the course is available on SyllaFX.com. And of course, like I said, right now the course is literally $1 for you guys to take. If you want to educate yourself on it and learn the basics, the risk management, the psychology behind successfully trading, and the strategies, supply and demand, support and resistance, and trend trading. All of that is included and explained in the course that you can get right now. If you're not interested in the course, the Discord community group, you can actually get that as well. So if you go to SyllaFX.com, course is available here, or you can just join the free Discord community group here. Do also have the VIP students group that you can join if you wanted to do live sessions with me, whether it's live analysis, live trading, and the Q&A sessions that I hold with the students for that. So outside of that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We've been for a little bit over an hour now. Well, yeah, about an hour. No trades to take at the moment, but we do have a setup that we can kind of keep an eye on and see if that actually plays out. Pound yen. But that's about it. So I'll be up for the New York session and see if I can find any trades there. Again, just to recap from earlier, I took 4 total trades. So usually I only take like maybe 2, 3 at the most. But because I got kicked out of one early and got stopped out, I gave that Aussie dollar pair another chance and took a buy position to make up for it. And then the 2 other trades that I took, one being on the euro dollar was a winner, and the other on the dollar yen, that was a loser for 5 pips. So, but still ended up being profitable for the day. So, not a bad day, just kind of an up and down day, but we didn't lose anything, so we're good there. But thanks for joining me on the stream, guys. If you guys got any questions, comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.